You speak French.
Ma langue est le français, je rêve et je pense en français.
J'ai tendance à valoriser les gens. Je les valorise en les écoutant, en montant le...
Ça fait partie de la culture, c'est une langue étrange que la langue de la culture.
La culture, c'est ce qui répond à l'homme quand il se demande ce qu'il fait sur la terre.
Les cultures doivent se parler.
La diversité.
C'est la vie.
Welcome to Glimpses on the Night of Ideas, a podcast presented by the Alliances Françaises of Canada. For the 6th edition of the Night of Ideas, an annual event that encouraged the exchange of ideas and collective reflection in 75 countries and on 5 different continents. The Alliances Françaises of Canada have immersed themselves in this year's theme, Closer. To reflect on this topic, we interviewed many inspiring, bold, and committed Canadian and French personalities. In this 4-part series, recorded during the Night of Ideas in Moncton, people from various backgrounds, artistic, academic, medical, and entrepreneurial, from New Brunswick, Quebec, and France, will share their experience and how digital technologies have played a significant role in their relationship with others. Successes and failures will be discussed, as well as personal stories related to the challenge of maintaining ties in a world where isolation is vital. We'll therefore leave you now in the company of Lawren Campbell, Heritage and Culture Coordinator for the City of Moncton, Myriane Ouellette, owner of O Strategies, Leanne Prescott, Director of Communication and Community Development of Food Dépôt Alimentaire, and our facilitator for the event, Marcel Petitpas, entrepreneur and CEO of Parakeeto. This episode was made possible thanks to the participation of the Alliances Françaises of Moncton, the Restorgo Place Museum, the Consulate General of France in the Atlantic Provinces, and La Station Workspace, with the support of the French Embassy in Canada and the Institut Français.
There was a moment when you had to make this transition from despair to optimism, right? All of you had an experience where the context changed, something happened, and you had to kind of claw your way out of feeling hopeless. How did that transition happen for you? Was there a catalyst for it? Was there a process that you had to go through personally? How did you make that transition from being focused on the problem to now thinking about what the solution is?
I can go. I think the moment of, well, it was that aha moment for me, that kind of thing that said, well, hey, like and I guess I'm a solutionist. I'm a person who always tries to find how can I help or what can I do to make it happen. I don't dwell too much over the problem. So that's kind of, it's kind of intuitive for me, I guess. But it was really the fact where I said, well, how can I help the others? How can I help my community? How can I be of service? Because really that's all I can do right now. And if I can help organizations, especially nonprofits who are struggling, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer as much as I can to give them a hand. So it's kind of that mindset switch to say, okay, dwelling on yourself, dwelling on what's happened, dwelling on your fuck up, on your mistake, and then saying, well, you know, let's try to do something about it.
So for me, I know I spoke more as the organization as opposed to me, but in order to get my head around pushing forward with this new way of doing things, it took the team at Resergo, all the ideas. But for me to be in a mental state, I have suffered from depression, anxiety, actually in my adult life more than I ever did as a kid. I'm sure it was there. But as a professional actor, the root of it is this, which I determined through some talks and some therapy and things like that. I was a professional actor. I went to Ryerson Theatre School. I was a professional. I was going to make it. Gave myself 10 years. My wife and I, and my son was born in Toronto. So we were there and I was acting. I was doing some stuff. And I'm a very pragmatic person, despite being creative at times. I said 10 years and then we're out of here. If my sole income is not acting, we're going back to Moncton because it's too expensive to sit here and do that. The 9th year that I was there, I made more money getting more gigs than the 8 years combined previous. But it still wasn't my full income. And my wife was like, how can you leave now? I said, because made a deal with me. I got to stick to it because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. This was 2002, 2003. We weren't even thinking about pandemics at the time. So apparently I went through grief by giving that life up. I didn't know that I was, but it actually really significantly impacted me, impacted my relationships. And you say where the transition happened. I went through another little micro version of that during COVID. And that's why I started the videos. I had to be creative to make other people happy. And I only started those, and this isn't true for everybody, but you hear it often enough, you have to kind of hit bottom to kickstart yourself to go forward. If it's that extreme, it's usually not a middle ground. I kind of feel crappy. You know what? I'm going to turn my life around and do great things. You really have to really see some depths of the darkness before you start to decide, you know what? I've dug through the dirt. There's something hard and solid under my feet now, and I don't know what it is. I don't want to find out. Time to climb back out of the hole. So I don't think it's external stimuli as individuals that pull you out of that. It's like alcoholics or gamblers. It's hard. You have to want the help. You have to want. It's got to come from inside. So I went through some dark times, and one of the biggest things was, as an actor, people said, "Oh, you used to act professionally. Oh, you failed as an actor, did you?" And I used to take that very personally. Go, "No, I did very well. I'm in a couple movies. I did." But my new answer is, if somebody I know was a lawyer and now they became a teacher, do people say, "Oh, you failed as a lawyer"? No, you changed jobs. But the arts community has this weight of giving of yourself creatively. And if you don't succeed financially, it's not your career, people that don't understand the arts see, "Oh, you failed at that art." No, I switched jobs. You saw the stuff that I create. I get to create every day at the museum. I'm at Harry T's Productions, local theater. I get bigger roles doing stuff in community than I ever did in Toronto or St. John or anywhere like that. I mean, it's so long way to say I doubt very much any of us had an external stimuli, unless it was a family member pointing at going, "Smarten up, get some help, do something." There's nothing. It's internal that pushes you into that other direction to make that transition.
I share the sentiment.
I think it's having grace for yourself. I think sometimes we can be really quick to offer that to other people on our teams, people on our staff, to be like, you know what, everybody makes a mistake. Everybody has a bad day or a bad minute. Coincidences can pile up, but we have to be able to extend that grace to ourselves to say, we are human. Everyone makes a mistake. I'm allowed to make a mistake. It's just allowing that, making sure that that's okay. I see there's a question here.
There is, yeah. Do you want me to read it out for everyone? Or do you want to just, okay, yeah. So it's from Sophie Offray. Thank you for the question, Sophie. First of all, she says, relationships do matter so much. Overpromising and underdelivering is super relatable. And wow, what a story. I love how you take all your notes in actual notebooks. Calendars are great. Have you found any other little memory tricks? I'm a huge dependent on lists, but sometimes I lose the list. So yeah, any insight on that? And I'm sure the rest of the panel has some insight there as well.
Yeah. So, I started putting in my notebooks, I could be in a meeting and I might be taking notes to sort of jog my memory on, this amount of money is coming in, this amount of money is going out, this many people were at an event. But then if it's an item that needs doing, I put a big circle beside it that when I flip back through and I see an unchecked circle, then I know that there's something that required an action and follow through and follow up. At the beginning of my week, I put together what I call the great big to-do list. So I'll go back through several pages and move things over to the great big to-do list for the week. And I tried to, at the end of the week, see where I'm at move things over for the next week as well. Putting a name next to a task. So not just call back X company, but call back Joanne at X company. That makes it more personal, makes it more human. There's somebody there that's waiting to hear from you. And, Alexa is really helpful. She's just listening all of the time. I'm surprised she didn't chime in just then.
Awesome insights. I'm a total nerd when it comes to productivity. I'm not on the panel, but I'm gonna offer some insight here, just because like I take this to an extreme. First of all, I like to use a digital scribe. It's right here in my hand. So I've got Todoist that I use across all my platforms, and that's my kind of version of writing it down in a notebook. And then I actually schedule time to go through and process that Todoist in my calendar. If you looked at my calendar, you'd probably have a seizure. I live by a philosophy called no free time. So I think, I like to protect my time rather than trying to make time for things, because the opposite I've found doesn't ever really happen for me. There's an unlimited of things to take it up. So I also like to put tasks inside of calendar events that I have with myself. So if I need to work on a project, I'll actually block time out in my calendar to work on it. And then I'll include action items in that calendar invite for that. And now I have a personal assistant, which is amazing because I have an eject button for my brain. So I can just like use an app called Voxer. And if I have a thought at 8:57 p.m. right before I go to bed, and I know that it's going to keep me awake, I can just like eject that from my brain. And then someone else is accountable for remembering that, and they get in trouble if they forget, which is a nice feeling. So of course that's not an option for everyone, but using Alexa, Siri as a way to just have an eject button for your brain, a place that you can put something and that you have time, to your point, Leanne, scheduled to go back and review that, I think is a super powerful thing. So with that, I know we're coming up on time for this particular segment. We're going to hear from a couple of talented poets next.
We would like to thank Lawren, Myriane, and Leanne for sharing their thoughts on this year's Night of Idea theme. We also thank you, the listeners, for taking this time to reflect with us and to move forward with the sharing of ideas. This podcast was produced by the Alliances Françaises of Canada as a part of the 2021 Night of Ideas. If you like this podcast and wish to continue your reflection, don't miss the following episode as well as the roundtable in French, Réinventer les liens par le numérique. And for more inspiring content, be sure to check out the Night of Ideas Canada YouTube channel.